On August 1st, 1943, the US Army Air Forces would lose more men in a single mission than in any other air operation of World War II. More than 300 airmen would die in a matter of hours. And it all began with one wrong turn that turned a perfectly planned mission into an absolute nightmare. This is the story of Operation Tidal Wave. The dawn of disaster. Colonel John Killer Kane watches the runway as the engine of his B-24 Liberator roars at full power. It's 7:10 a.m. on August 1st, 1943, and the Libyan desert is already blazing under the sun. The heat is suffocating, almost unbearable. Kane can feel sweat soaking through his flight suit before he even takes off. Around the Benghazi airfield, the air trembles with the deafening thunder of hundreds of Pratt & Whitney engines. His B-24, Hail Columbia, surges forward alongside two other Liberators. The three aircraft, loaded with more than 11,000 liters of fuel and nearly 2 tons of bombs, lift off at the same moment in a perfectly rehearsed choreography. The weight is monstrous. Every pilot knows they're overloaded, operating at the absolute edge of what these machines can handle. Behind them, another 174 bombers take off in successive waves, kicking up massive clouds of red dust that stain the desert sky. Then the first disaster hits. The B-24 Kickapoo suffers an engine fire just after takeoff. Orange flames race along the wing. The pilot tries desperately to bring it back, but he's coming in too fast, too heavy. The bomber slams down hard, bounces violently, and crashes into a concrete post with a deafening crack. 8 men die instantly, their bodies consumed by fire before anyone can do a thing. Kane watches a column of black smoke rise against the bright blue desert sky. It isn't the start he hoped for, but there's no time for grief. The remaining 177 B-24s head toward the oil fields of Ploiești, Romania. Churchill has been blunt. Those refineries produce 33% of all Axis oil. Destroying them could shorten the war by 6 months, saving hundreds of thousands of lives. The planners have been brutally honest. They expect 50% casualties. 1 in every 2 men won't come back. Every airman has already written his last letter home. Many spent the previous night in silence, staring at photos of wives, fiancés, children they may never see again. To understand why they were willing to pay that price, we need to rewind 8 months. Churchill's obsession. In January 1943 at Casablanca, Winston Churchill had an obsession: Ploiești. During high-level meetings, he kept returning to the same point. The 9 refineries surrounding that Romanian city produce more than 10 million tons of oil a year. Without that fuel, German tanks would become useless scrap and Luftwaffe aircraft wouldn't be able to fly. The Nazi war machine would grind to a halt. Churchill spread out maps, reconnaissance photos, production figures. The numbers were undeniable. Ploiești wasn't merely important. It was the beating heart of the German war effort. Every day it kept running. Thousands of liters of fuel flowed to the eastern and western fronts, prolonging the war and stretching the suffering. USAAF Chief of Staff Hap Arnold and Army Chief of Staff George Marshall agreed. The mission was approved under absolute secrecy. Arnold handed planning to Colonel Jacob Smart, a 35-year-old pilot known for innovative thinking and a willingness to challenge military orthodoxy. The early math was grim. Destroying Ploiești from high altitude would require 1,400 heavy bombers, an impossible number to assemble in 1943. And bombing from 30,000 feet meant half the bombs would land in empty fields, farms, forests, anything except the critical targets. Smart proposed something radical, something no one had tried: a low-level strike, skimming treetops. Heavy bombers didn't attack at low altitude because it was suicidal, but Smart argued that down low, accuracy would be surgical. They'd avoid radar, and the Luftwaffe would never expect it. They could appear literally out of nowhere. The downside was terrifying. The B-24s would be exposed to anti-aircraft fire, with almost no room for evasive maneuvering. They'd be huge targets flying straight and steady. After intense debate, the The conference approved the plan. Churchill personally renamed it Operation Tidal Wave, evoking an unstoppable force of nature. Only the B-24 Liberator had the range for the 4,000-kilometer round trip. The problem was, the crews hated it. Compared to the sleek B-17 Flying Fortress, the B-24 felt clumsy, lightly armored, and prone to catching fire. They called it the flying boxcar or the flying coffin. But there was no alternative. Preparation. General Louis Brereton took operational command. When he gathered commanders in a stifling conference room in Libya, he made one thing clear. Anyone who complained or showed the slightest hesitation would be relieved immediately and shipped back to the United States in disgrace. No one objected. Everyone understood what was at stake. Smart transferred 128 liberators from bombing groups across North Africa and launched an intensive training program that lasted weeks. In the Libyan desert, they built obsessively accurate mock-ups of Ploiești, constantly updated using reconnaissance photos. Crews practiced flying at terrifyingly low altitude in tight formation, skimming dunes, learning to judge distance down to the inch. The training cost lives. Several bombers crashed during practice runs, but day by day they improved. The plan assumed defenses would be weak, because in 1942, 13 B-24s had bombed the city from high altitude, and everyone returned unharmed, not a single loss. It was a catastrophic assumption that would cost hundreds of lives. On July 25th, the final rehearsal was flawless. Every group hit its mock target at the exact planned moment. The operation was ready. The men spent their last days writing letters, reviewing wills, making peace with what might come. The fatal error. The 177 liberators fly radio silent over the Mediterranean, stretched into an 8-kilometer-long stream. From above, they looked like a flock of metal geese. 10 turned back with mechanical trouble in the first hours. 3 hours after takeoff, near Corfu, the lead bomber Wongo Wongo plunges into the sea without warning. 10 crewmen die instantly. Another bomber aborts to search for survivors they will never find. That leaves 166 bombers. Approaching the Pindus Mountains in Greece, they hit clouds up to 5,000 meters, something the meteorologists hadn't predicted. The groups slip into thick fog. The lead elements emerge still in perfect formation, but the other 3 groups scatter completely, lagging nearly 100 kilometers behind. Colonel Compton tries to wait, circling, but worried German radar might detect them, he finally gives up. The 93rd and 376th groups drop to 45 meters above the ground, flying, between hills and through valleys. What they don't know is the element of surprise is already gone. German communications intercept experts have cracked transmissions and know a large formation lifted off from Benghazi. General Alfred Gerstenberg, commander of Ploiești's defenses, puts every unit on maximum alert. Soldiers raise hundreds of barrage balloons over the city, creating a deadly web of steel cables. The pilots press northeast, unaware of the catastrophe building ahead. Romanian civilians stop to stare in disbelief as B-24s roar by at treetop height. At a rural festival, young girls wave at the American airmen, who wave back, smiling, not realizing they're flying toward death. Kane spots a train moving along the tracks and gives permission to fire. Every gun opens up at once, a deafening roar. The train jerks to a stop. Those are the first shots of Tidal Wave. The lead groups reach Ploiești and continue as planned. Then Compton's aircraft fly into light rain that slashes visibility. Compton squints and spots a city ahead. A main boulevard, a bridge over a river, rail lines running south. That's Ploiești, he believes, absolutely certain. He orders the right turn, but he has just made the single most costly mistake of the mission. The city isn't Ploiești, it's Târgoviște, 50 kilometers to the south. They turn too early and are now following the rail line toward Bucharest, not Ploiești. Many navigators realize it instantly. Compton's navigator shouts over the intercom. Several pilots tried desperately to warn him by radio, but Compton keeps his radio off to avoid enemy interception. He receives none of the urgent warnings. The perfectly planned mission has just derailed completely, and no one yet knows how many men will die because of this one navigation error. First contact. Lieutenant John Palm consults frantically with his navigator. They are definitely off course. Palm makes a decision that could mean a court-martial. He yanks his brewery wagon around hard toward where Ploiești should be. What happens next changes everything. His B-24 is immediately met by devastating anti-aircraft fire. The sky fills with black bursts. A direct hit shatters the plexiglass nose, killing 2 crewmen instantly. Another blast destroys 2 engines. Palm looks down in horror. His right leg is hanging by a strip of flesh and tendon. Ploiești's defenses are not weak. They are among the strongest in Europe outside Germany. Gerstenberg has spent months installing more than 1,300 anti-aircraft guns of every caliber. The crews had been told to expect fewer than 100. And now, 200 fighters, German Bf-109s and Romanian IAR-80s, are airborne and hunting. Palm dumps his bombs in desperation and tries to escape. A Bf-109 rakes the crippled bomber from behind. Bleeding heavily, Palm crash lands in a field. 8 survivors, including Palm, become prisoners of war. Meanwhile, the 93rd and 376th groups continue toward Bucharest, still blind to the mistake, until Colonel Baker finally sees it. Baker's sacrifice. Baker snaps into an unplanned 90-degree turn, hoping his group will follow without colliding in a maneuver that requires perfect coordination. At low altitude, it's insanely risky. It works. Men watch in disbelief as the entire formation executes the turn in seconds. German observers believe it's a coordinated multi-directional attack. Many fighters peel off toward Bucharest, splitting the defenses. But there's a critical problem. They're now attacking from a completely different angle than the one they trained for. They'll have to improvise on the fly, at 45 meters, under heavy fire, with no time to think. One element breaks off toward Astra Romana. Baker leads the rest toward Columbia Aquila, accelerating to 400 km/h. Fire comes from every direction. The Luftwaffe has placed guns in haylofts, church towers, chicken coops, any structure that provides height. The Liberators stay in tight, formation with no room to jink. Several B-24s drop below 6 meters, propellers literally brushing cornstalks, kicking up dust clouds. Baker's aircraft is 3 minutes from the target when a barrage balloon appears directly ahead. Before the mission, Baker had declared solemnly that he would fly over the target even if his bomber was on fire. Baker does not swerve. The left wing slices into the steel cable. The cable snaps, but the wing is torn apart. 2 80mm shells hit almost simultaneously, killing the bombardier and igniting fuel tanks. Flames roar into the cockpit. The co-pilot, Major John Jerstad, had already completed his required 25 missions. He could have gone home with honors. He volunteered for Tidal Wave, knowing exactly what it meant. Baker and Jerstad keep their hands on the controls of a burning bomber, guiding their group over the target as fire literally devours them. At last, they lift the plane to 90 meters so the crew can jump. Pilots in formation watch in horror. As the aircraft falls, no parachutes open. Baker and Jerstad will receive the Medal of Honor posthumously. And this is only the beginning of hell. Hell continues. More Liberators drop every second under the hammer of German defenses. One crashes into a balloon and explodes in a fireball. Another loses an entire wing and slams into a prison, killing 60 people, many of them political prisoners. Many crewmen jump, but at such low altitude their parachutes can't open in time. There's no space, no seconds to spare. The group releases 500-pound bombs, many fitted with 45-second delayed fuses to complicate repairs. The second element hits Astra Romana with grim determination. Romanian Lieutenant Constantin Anastasescu, flying a Bf-109, attacks ferociously and shoots down a B-24. His fighter is badly damaged and catches fire. With no escape and no usable parachute, he he decides to ram a B-24. They collide and fall together. Anastasescu miraculously survives the crash. The remaining B-24s strike Astra Romana with precision. Within minutes, the refinery becomes a roaring mass of flame and thick black smoke rising hundreds of meters. But it creates an unexpected problem. Later waves will have zero visibility. Of the 32 bombers from the 93rd that reached Ploiești, 17 have been shot down, more than half destroyed in minutes. The 376th finally reaches the target area. Seeing objectives already swallowed by flames and smoke, Compton splits his group in desperation. Every pilot bombs whatever he can find. It becomes pure chaos. Many simply drop their loads and flee at top speed. But Major William Appold, flying GI Ginny, searches for a truly valuable target. He spots the Concordia Vega refinery, still completely intact. He banks hard and dives aggressively. Ahead, industrial smokestacks rise to eye level. The 5 bombers in his element release, and each pilot hauls back with all his strength. Each aircraft misses the stacks by mere meters. Their bombs hit perfectly. Concordia Vega suffers devastating damage, cutting production by 40% immediately. Only 2 bombers from the 376th are shot down, a miraculous survival rate. As Appold pulls away, he sees green dots closing fast. Kane's 41 planes from the 98th. They are heading straight into the worst hell imaginable. By this point, the mission is already an absolute disaster, and the worst still isn't over. Kane enters the inferno. Kane stares ahead in disbelief. His assigned target, Astra Romana, is completely engulfed. Hundreds of meters of flame, a dense column of black smoke blotting out the sun. The enemy will be fully prepared, fully alert, waiting. His men will fly into ready defenses through blinding smoke, with visibility at 0. He has seconds to decide: push on or abort. He thinks of Baker and Jerstad, holding the controls as flames consumed them. Kane commits without hesitation. The group turns and drops even lower. Hadley, in Hadley's harem, descends so far the wheels literally scrape treetops. His tail gunner yells in alarm over the intercom. They nearly collide with survivors from the 376th climbing out. It's a miracle there isn't a massive mid-air pileup. 84 bombers begin their coordinated run. Then a completely unexpected threat appears. An armored German anti-aircraft train, bristling with dozens of guns, rolling parallel to the bombers. Gerstenberg positioned it strategically on the tracks to shadow the attackers. The airmen respond instantly. Dozens of 50 caliber machine guns rake the train methodically. German gunners drop. Then the crews concentrate on the locomotive. Rounds punch through the armor. The boiler ruptures in a spectacular blast. The train grinds to a halt. Kane swings his full attention back to Astra Romana. He drives the formation down to 60 meters. Bomb bay doors open with a hum. Then the unthinkable happens. The delayed fuse bombs, the 93rd dropped minutes earlier, begin detonating beneath them in massive waves. The blasts slam the B-24s around like toys. One explosion flips a Liberator into a deadly spiral. Kane's navigator will later say he knew with certainty he would die in that moment, not from the enemy, but from American bombs. It was like the charge of the Light Brigade, a complete disaster, and there was nothing to do but keep going. Kane's bomber releases just as Hail Columbia plunges into dense smoke. Visibility is literally 0. The heat is so intense it warps instruments. The delayed bombs keep exploding violently. Kane emerges with one engine completely dead. His co-pilot throttles back the others to conserve precious fuel. Kane laughs bitterly. This is no place to save anything except our damned hides. He shoves the throttles to full power. The aircraft behind them fly into the same inferno. Hadley's B-24 takes an 88-meter shell straight into the nose. Bombardier and navigator badly wounded, left engine on fire. The engineer releases the bombs early, just to keep the plane flying. The last Liberators drop on Astra Romana. Half the massive complex is destroyed. The smoke is so thick, many will remember minutes of total, absolute blindness. The final groups. While the 98th is being shredded, the 37 B-24s of the 44th split to strike Columbia Aquila and Creditul Minier. Above them, 52 Bf-109s and several Romanian IAR-80s have been circling in frustration, unable to find bombers flying so low. At last, ground controllers shout that the bombers are down low, and the fighters dive like hawks. Johnson leads 16 B-24s toward Columbia Aquila. One gunner will remember at least 100 fighters attacking from every direction at once. The bombers were dropping so fast, he didn't think they'd ever make it through. Johnson, in Susie Q, drives straight into black smoke. He fears he won't even see the target, but miraculously the wind opens a temporary gap in the flames. At 40 meters, they drop their bombs. Lieutenant Lloyd Winger, flying wing, Dinger, releases, and instantly catches fire as he passes through the explosions. Winger had already completed his 25 missions. He could have been home. He volunteered anyway. Lieutenant Harmanowski makes direct eye contact with Winger as his aircraft comes apart. Winger looks back, slowly raises his hand, and salutes. He climbs to 150 meters so his crew can jump. Only 2 gunners make it out before the final impact. Out of 16 Liberators, 9 are completely destroyed. The other element, 21 bombers under Posey, approaches Creditul Minier with a flawless run. Their target hasn't been bombed yet. Visibility is good. Defenses are moderate. Posey drops to smokestack height and releases with surgical precision. Fighters attack viciously. Satan's Hellcat burns. A Bf-109 tries to avoid the bomber by passing underneath, collides violently instead. Both aircraft fall. The German pilot survives and will eventually become an ace. Everyone aboard Satan's Hellcat dies instantly. The strike on Creditul Minier is devastating. The refinery will be out of service for the rest of the war. Cost: only 2 B-24s out of 21. 30 kilometers northwest, Colonel Wood's 389th Group approaches Steaua Romana at Câmpina. 29 B-24s drop to 9 meters. They enter a narrow valley and are met by a solid wall of fire. The Luftwaffe has built extensive defenses on the surrounding hills. Wood's B-24, the Scorpion, leads in and drops. A boiler house erupts in a spectacular explosion. Gunners deliberately fire into oil tanks that detonate into towering fireballs. Eager Eagle takes a direct hit to the main fuel tank. High-octane fuel pours over the wing like a waterfall. Lieutenant Hughes can abort immediately, or continue and risk exploding. He doesn't hesitate for a second. He holds course. He releases over the target, but as the bomber passes through massive flames, the fuel ignites. The B-24 bursts out completely wrapped in orange fire. Hughes tries desperately to set it down on a dry riverbed. For a moment, it looks like he'll make it. Then the wing gives way. The Liberator cartwheels and smashes into the ground. Only 2 gunners survive by miracle. Hughes will receive the Medal of Honor posthumously. The 389th performs exceptionally. Steaua Romana will never operate again in the war. Out of 29 aircraft, 4 are shot down immediately, and 2 more will ditch returning across the Mediterranean. The battle is finally over. Now begins the desperate fight to get home. The price. The groups retreat south in complete disorder. The surviving B-24s, many badly damaged, scramble to form defensive combat boxes. They cross Bulgaria, where the Bulgarian Air Force throws everything it has into the fight. More bombers are shot down, stretching the agony further. Now fuel becomes the critical problem. Most crews burned far more than planned in combat. Many simply don't have enough to reach Libya. Some, like Kane, divert to Cyprus. Others try for neutral Turkey, risking internment. Hadley's B-24 makes a controlled ditching in the Mediterranean, but Hadley and his co-pilot become trapped in the flooded cockpit and drown. By nightfall, everyone has landed or failed to return. Operation Tidal Wave is officially over. Kane reaches Benghazi 2 days later. What he sees breaks him. The base looks like an abandoned cemetery. So few aircraft, almost no personnel waiting. The final numbers are almost impossible to process. Of the 178 B-24s that took off, 55 are lost outright, 308 airmen are dead, 108 are captured as prisoners of war, 78 are interned in Turkey, 440 wounded men managed to make it back. Out of 1,726 airmen who took part, 934, exactly 54%, are dead, wounded, or missing, more than half. The planners predicted 50% casualties. They were terrifyingly, horribly close. Every participant receives the Distinguished Flying Cross automatically. 5 Medals of Honor are awarded, the most ever given for a single air action in US. Military history: Kane, Johnson, Hughes, Gjerstad, and Baker. 3 are posthumous. Production at Ploiești drops 42% immediately after the attack. But Hitler assigns the repairs the highest possible priority. Enslaved workers labor day and night. Within weeks, production is even higher than before. It isn't until 1944, when repeated massive high-altitude raids finally destroy the facilities permanently, that Ploiești stops producing for the Axis for good. Compton's wrong turn completely wrecked the attack's critical timing. A detailed 1999 analysis concluded that without that single error, the mission would have destroyed 90% of the complex instead of 42%. The massive sacrifice could have achieved twice the results. Kane, unfairly blamed for supposedly flying too slowly, never received another combat command despite his proven heroism. King George VI personally wrote to Roosevelt, "The bravery with which the crews carried out their attacks was beyond all possible praise. 308 men died over Ploiești that August day. We must never forget their ultimate sacrifice."